back to the bottom, 6 to go.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin. He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down, hop these curves up and over. There's that cannon running a tad wide. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over. Down into turn 1, there goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
The 3-wide Racing League RaceKings Cup Series is nearing the end of its regular season. Within weeks, the playoffs will begin and the field will be whittled down to just the best of the best. When you want to make the playoff field of only the best drivers, you must go to only the hardest tracks. There's only a few venues that genuinely worry most of the field, and the Lady in Black is one of those tracks. Track Too Tough to Tame is up next. Who can conquer Throwback Night in the RaceKings Cup Series? I think I had a little bit of a brain fart there, but we're here at Darlington, the track Too Tough to Tame. This place is challenging, Finian. It's single lane, but the new package, that's been the discussion all of 2019 long. How is it race here now with that extra downforce?
Well, yeah, definitely. I haven't really been seeing a lot of races at Darlington, or been in a lot of races at Darlington. I only really turned a few laps myself in a race session here. But definitely I can tell that I would say it's quote-unquote easier to drive around here. Again, with these guys going at a slower speed into the corner and just have a lot more downforce to work with, I'd say it's a lot less challenging by yourself, at least, to navigate the track. And we've seen a lot of wrecks just due to guys getting loose in the corners and just charging too hard and hitting the wall. So I think it's easier to get around this track. Racing-wise, I think it's going to be a whole different story.
Qualifying underway here, 183 laps around this 1.3 mile racetrack. Let's take a look at our track map for here tonight, Finian. 1.311 miles, 4 turns. The fun part, though, they're very different on one end versus the other. Turns 1 and 2, very, very long and wide radii, and turns number 3 and 4, very, very tight and totally different from the other end of the racetrack.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the unique characteristics of Darlington. I think also what leads to it being such a fan favorite on the schedule is just a lot different than the other tracks that we go to on the Cup circuit nowadays. And again, it has found a lot of place in a lot of people's hearts.
Absolutely. You take a look at the bottom left-hand side of the ticker. There's the playoff cut line. Things have shifted around, Finian. Some news out of 3WideRacing League this week. Tanner Sharp, surgery after the race tonight. He's going to be retired for the rest of the season. So we wish him the best of luck in that when he gets that surgery done. Paul Ross is forfeiting his playoff spot as well as Chuck Sweeting. They got stuff going on. They're going to just leave the playoff spots to drivers that will be here every week. They will still be able to compete in the series, but they're going to step away and leave those playoff spots open. So that's kind of shifted the priorities for a lot of drivers as we head into tonight. Richard Hines sits 57 points above the cut line. Lafferty 35 up. Lindsay down 35, and Hanshaw down 69. There's only a couple races left. This is getting really, really tight, Finian. I mean, it looks like it's a whole lot of points, but trust me, there's 30 cars in this field. If you have a bad night, you're going to lose a lot of points. We saw Tanner Sharp jump up a lot of points last week. So, again, he's going to be forfeiting his spots. That kind of shifts where the cut line is. But with 30 seconds left, Josh Adams on top of the board with a 27.332. David Wilson with a strong qualifying effort. Matt Grunberg in this 54. We've talked about in the past how we haven't been on board with the strategy of not qualifying. Well, he didn't really put in a lap there either, and I just don't. I mean, he's got a huge lead. I get that, but you want to rack up the wins, especially with other drivers racking up wins in the win column, to say the least.
Yeah, and speaking of which, his main competitor, Chad Frankenfield, has been gaining a lot of spots in him in recent weeks, especially after winning Indianapolis a little whiles back, and is close up to only 2 points behind Grunberg after Grunberg struggled at Indianapolis. So very close between them. Obviously, points is not going to matter in a few weeks, but really it's just going to matter about the wins. But even in that column, Frankenfield leading by 5 wins over Grunberg's 4.
So 183 laps here, Finney, and the sun is beginning to set behind turns 3 and 4. And we always talk about Darlington being a challenging racetrack. Well, the fun thing about this is, see that dotted line there? That used to be the outside track limit. Used to race on the apron around here. Then somebody figured out, hey, the outside of the racetrack's actually banked up higher. Let's use that. That was supposed to be runoff to keep drivers away from the wall. Well, it turns out they didn't listen. They're right up against that fence to get the fastest line, especially through 1 and 2. In 3 and 4, you can kind of adjust and get right on the bottom of the racetrack depending on how your car is handling. But in 1 and 2, you're going to see guys rip in that Larson line, as everyone likes to call it. Chad Frankenfield, we talked about him. He'll be starting 10th tonight. Not a spectacular qualifying effort, but he's just been so good lately. He's my pick to win tonight.
Yeah, and also another big thing too, kind of in the unknowns along with the package, is the fact that really haven't been a whole lot of races at Darlington in the night. I think a lot of guys are more used to racing with this track bathed in sunlight. With a night update finally coming to Darlington just 11 weeks or so ago, we finally are able to run this race in the night. So it's gonna be a lot cooler. Guys gonna be able to carry a lot more speeds, but then carrying more speed that leads to problems with guys hitting the wall that we've seen. So guys got to get adjusted in the nighttime at this track.
You bring up a pretty good point about drivers typically driving this track when it's very slippery, and it's not going to be slippery tonight necessarily. It's going to be really grippy actually with the extra downforce, the cool track temperatures, and the sun going down. That's going to bring the average speeds up quite a bit. That's also going to mean that you can be a lot more aggressive, and typically this is a racetrack you have to respect. So Darlington is a place, so you get that Darlington stripe, as you call it, if you get into the wall in 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. And you leave that black stripe on the wall and you pick up some of the paint on your car. It's a place you have to respect, and I fear that the aggression level picking up is going to leave some of these drivers disrespecting the racetrack, and it's going to end their night early. Let's roll through our starting lineup here. On the front row, it's going to be Josh Adams and his number 95 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. He's had a victory this year. We'll see if he can get another one. David Wilson also starting on that front row in second place.
Yeah, moving on back to row number 2, Johnny Thomas, who's been pretty good as of late, is going to be starting nice in third place. Outside of him, Tate Lytle in fourth.
Moving on back to row number 3, Kyle Hanshaw in the 46. On the outside looking in, Jordan McKeeboy in 6th in the number 21. His performances continue to improve as the season moves on.
Yeah, then we got Justin Cobe in 7th place. In the 52 outside of him will be Todd Smith in 8th in that 64.
Out of turn number 2 again, Kevin Finn starting 9th alongside Chad Frankenfield in the number 15. Rolling to the start here, 183 laps on the board. And we know Darlington's going to be a fun one for sure. But up in front, Josh Adams, that 95 car. This kind of racetrack seems to suit drivers like him. Drivers that can respect a racetrack. Remember, I believe he won back in the beginning of the season. I think it was at either Chicago or Kansas, one of those two, wherever we were earlier. 1.5 mile racetrack. But rolling through 3 and 4, the much tighter. It's all barely 2.5 lanes wide. These cars can hardly fit. Coming to the green flag here at Darlington. Field rolling 30 strong out of turn number 4. And waiting for the green flag. Green flag flies, racing at the Lady in Black.
And a fantastic start for Adam as they all race off into turn 1. Thomas is going to be side by side trying to get second place away.
Kyle Hanshaw in that 46 on the inside, trying to fight side by side with that, I believe, is the 39 of Wilson in a special throwback scheme this week. A lot of drivers running those throwback schemes, remembering drivers of the days of old. And there's actually a Kevin Harvick scheme that Tate Lytle's running. That's a great looking car. Kyle Hanshaw is as well. I think he's running, yes, he is a throwback scheme there. Kevin Finn is not. He rides in 9th right now as we complete lap number 1.
Yeah, Kevin Finn and his Crown Royal car is going to continue on with that paint scheme. And also at the front of the grid, there's a car spinning in the background.
And Frankenfield is in it, and a couple other drivers are as well. Kloosterhoos is in it, and a wreck here early in the going. Todd Smith down the order. Westrick involved, and the progress slowed here early. What happened down here?
I just saw the 64 in his golden leather. He was spinning off of turn 1.
I actually think it starts with him. So here's a look. That's that gold car in the middle of your screen. And that's the 15 of Frankenfield who's inside in the Dale Jarrett throwback, the UPS car. The 64 just gets in the wall and wads him up. Tanner Sharp's in it. That's Derbyshire. Ooh, a couple other cars getting pancaked there as well. And the 53...
was that Grunberg that just came sliding in?
Oh, it was. In the 54. Here's his on board.
Yeah, he was trying to slow down, got sideways in the grass and went flying into Todd Smith. Here's another look from outside.
Oh, there's a checkup behind. Richard Hines got in the back of somebody back there, and he had the 54 locked up and door slammed the 64. Grunberg should be okay, but of course Richard Hines also got in the back of the 42. Lots of checking up at the front and rear of the field, but caution out here early, Finian. I said respect the racetrack. I think the 64 got a little bit too hard off into the corner and wadded them all back up.
Yeah, it took out a lot of good drivers. We took out our main championship contenders, 54 Grunberg and the 15 of Frankenfield. Although again, as you were saying, I think Grunberg should be more or less fine. I'll have to see if that door damage is going to do anything to him. If anything, it'll do damage to him arrow-wise, which he was struggling with at Indianapolis.
So working lap number 4 of 183, and this is not a short race. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from here if we were to go back green right now and stay that way for the rest of the race. So it is a long race for sure as we transition into tonight's throwback.
There you go, Finian. This is, I always love getting into the throwback mood here. Throwback team's on the racetrack, and here we go. 180 laps to go, and Adams currently leads the way in his number 95. Johnny Thomas sits second. A bright orange car, sponsored by Carhartt. Look at that car. That looks like it belongs right in 1985.
Yeah, Johnny Thomas's car is a throwback to Dale Earnhardt's Army number 30 car.
Okay, so it's probably a little farther back than 1985. St. Lytle sitting in fourth, and of course this is the Kevin Harvick throwback, those good run schemes.
Yeah, that car is a really nice looking one. I think that's one of his probably more memorable schemes other than maybe his Pennzoil 29.
There was a lot of discussion about if it belongs on a Camry, but in the spirit of the throwback night,
honestly,
I think it's okay.
Controversial opinion, I think it kind of looks better on the Camry.
Ooh, that is going to be controversial.
Just due to the way the nose is, I would say it's more similar. It's the most similar to the Gen 4 cars compared to the Camaro, which is more kind of more that flat end. So I think that's why it looks, to me at least, it looks a little bit better on a Toyota body than probably the other ones.
Chuck Sweeting in 11th place again. He will not be competing in the playoffs. Frank Sims riding in 12th. How about that? He got through that wreck, got on the binders quick enough, and right behind him, that's Sam Close in the number 5. And not everyone's partaking in throwback night here this year, but we are here at Sim TV. We don't do this a whole lot, so it's a lot of fun to jump into the. We tried the camera a long time ago with the boost, and we had headsets and everything, but that didn't really end up being super popular. So I think we're all right with this. We're not going to do this for the whole race. We promise we'll probably go in and out of it a couple times, but we don't really want to keep you out of the know, because back in the day, you didn't really know what was going on in 30th.
Yeah, you really didn't know a whole lot what was going on at all. Sometimes it took them a while to even just show the laps. You see cars going around with almost nothing on the screen. But I mean, it does have an almost timeless look to it and really fit the era.
Absolutely. Luis Amato in the number 4 car, riding right now in 10th place. He's got the fabulous Hudson Hornet paint scheme on this car. That's a great looking machine on that Ford Mustang.
Yeah, indeed, it looks fantastic. It really does fit, and again, that's one of those teams that does actually really fit the body quite nicely. Looks like we're getting that double plow back up for the restart.
We should be getting doubled up. 8 car lights are off. That means we're going to re-rack and re-stack and try this again. We've only completed 6 laps of 183 to do tonight. David Wilson rides third, and I think you're going to like what the 24 Carlos Acosta has on his vehicle. Not Acosta, 52, thank you. Justin Cope. And that's a good-looking paint scheme. That's a throwback to 2009, I believe, if I'm correct about when that scheme was run.
Yeah, definitely when they revamped the Flames paint scheme, the blue and red one went to this one. It's probably one of my favorite Jeff Gordon liveries, so nice to see that on the 52. Looking good.
Coming through 3 and 4. Pace car's going to pull off. We'll try this again. Got a long way to go. Josh Adams leads the way. Green flag back in the air.
Back underway here at Darlington. Progressive stuff Adams yet again. Thomas is going to be trying to get the second this time around, and behind him, Lytle trying to take third place away from Dave Wilson.
Lytle on the outside on the first lap after the restart. I think the inside line's a place to be cautioned towards the rear of the field again, though. And it looks like Mike Stevens this time in the 63, all torn up. Nick Miller made it through, but that is James Miller against the wall in turn 2. So caution out here again.
I think we're going to go back and check this out here. We'll see how this is and see how this happens.
42, and he got turns off the nose of Richard Hines, and Stevens just gets collecting that. Nothing he could have done, and then of course Hines gets collected later and backs up into the fence.
Yeah, kind of curious how that.
Yeah, how they kind of found each other on the track.
Yeah, he washes up the hill. And just getting that right.
And that's kind of the problem with Darlington in a way. There's not a lot of real estate,
See on the track, it's hard enough to go too wide at this track.
let alone anything else. So, and we're seeing a wreck there, and it looks like that 42. I think his car is going to be done. Is he off? Is he? Kind of hard to tell if the car is giving up or not. And it looks like actually he's gonna. Okay, it looks like he's gonna be able to, but I doubt they're gonna be able to fix that car in a timely fashion. So I think
That 42 more or less going to be done for today.
All right, so we're going to switch back here just so we're not wasting all that under yellow here tonight. But I want to take another look at the playoff cut line. Richard Hines involved in that collision. That car pretty destroyed. Richard Lafferty in that number 8 car runs 21st, and that's the 15 of Chad Frankenfield, who's all torn up. Remember, he's going for a championship. He can't have these kind of things happen. I know he's going to get reset for the playoffs, but you got to get your head in the playoff picture. And again, he was an innocent victim in that wreck, but you got to keep yourself out of harm's way.
And even more importantly than that, at least in my opinion, I think I'm sad to see that car get torn up because there's a beautiful paint scheme on that UPS livery. Very, very nice looking car.
That is a timeless scheme. You could run that paint scheme in any era ever, and it would be a spectacular looking paint scheme. You could run it now. It looks like you could run it now. It looks like you could run it 50 years from now. But still, up front, Josh Adams just kind of cruising the way. 2 cautions so far to start the night.
Yeah, indeed. Next, I'm trying to see is James Simmons in the field.
I have not seen James Simmons. I see James Miller. The answer to that is no.
Because even he has because Simmons had a really good. He put it in the form that they had for all the drivers, for all the throwbacks. That's how I know who they are. Thanks also to guys for filling it out. Thanks for Corey for setting it up so I can have that to look at. But Simmons was in the Altel paint scheme, Ryan Newman's scheme. That car also really nice looking one.
Well, it's funny that they see the visit MyrtleBeach.com sticker on the side of the wall there, because that's where we're headed next week, Finney, in Myrtle Beach. That's where we're going to decide everything. Actually, is that when's the last play? I think Myrtle Beach is the last regular season race, is it not? I think we started at Atlanta. So next week we decide everything and turn everyone loose for one last time in the regular season. So Myrtle Beach next week. Actually, yes, you got to check the schedule.
I feel like that is, because, yeah, okay. Yeah, that is.
We've had a busy weekend, and if my voice sounds a little off, we were down at Road Atlanta this past weekend commentating for Grid Life Touring Cup. So we're a little frazzled in the brain getting back into it. We haven't done it since Thursday. So it's been a little while, and we're so used to doing these things back to back to back to back, and you miss a couple days, you get out of practice.
You really do. And also looking at David Wilson's car, that's 1972 Friday Hassler. I don't know. Yeah, but I just know I knew those from the 70s.
We're too young for this.
Yeah,
we don't know anything.
I think what really kind of made me realize that it was from the 70s. You look, it has I believe that's
the displacement on the side of the hood, and it's in cubic inches, as it should be, not liters, because it's American freedom units, and inches it is.
Yeah, I always kind of dig that they put the engine displacement on the hood. It kind of gave a cool look to the cars.
It does really make it look awesome. So that's Wilson, and he's usually in purple colors, so red this evening as we roll onto the back straightaway. We've had 2 cautions slow the progress so far. I've only gotten 1 complete green flag lap in, so here's to hoping we can get the rest of these laps run under green flag conditions.
Actually, thank you with the nose back on my car as well as it came through the picture, so I was able to get that car somewhat fixed up, and hopefully we can kind of recover again. It really at this point, him and Groomer are just going at wins. Before the last few rounds.
Yeah, again, Grunberg and the 15 of Frankenfield kind of put on their hind legs here early in the going. Lap number 12 is going to be our restart lap here. We've got a long way to go. It's Josh Adams on the inside, Johnny Thomas on the outside. The inside, the place to be until the tires begin to heat up. Green flag back in the air here at Darlington.
Ooh, and that was a good start for Adams this time by. Thomas got a pretty decent restart, but it's not going to be enough. Lytle give a bit of a shove to Thomas down in turn 1.
Oh, car in the fence. I think that was Lytle. Bounced off the wall potentially. Just a scrape though. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Wilson real tight out of turn 2. And looks like the 56 is going to swing down to the inside lane to the back straight. Here comes Cole on Kyle Hanshaw.
Yeah, Hanshaw with a really good starting position in this race. He's under attack now from Justin Colvin behind him.
There's Kevin Finn and Jordan McKeeboy fighting for 7th place. They're going to duke and dive out of turn number 4 in the background. Whoa, actually, no, let's scratch that. Here comes Acosta up the inside. McKeevoy takes a deep dive into turn number 1, and it's still early in the going. These drivers have a lot of confidence in their tires and their equipment, but ooh, it's a little slippery out there for the 24.
Yeah, he's just trying to get around the inside. Just doesn't look like there's enough grip, at least at the moment now, as he cuts off Luis Almaso. Almaso having to back on. That's opened the door for Frank Sims to the inside. No, Almaso going to get the run out the corner. On the straightaway he goes.
So Almaso back to the inside, using that Hudson Hornet power to drive right back by Acosta into turn 1. And look, he's going to take a deep dive underneath the white line. Fair game here at Darlington and complete that pass back on Acosta.
Yeah, it's a great pass for Almaso, doing himself bumping in 9th place. Acosta just trying to get a draft off him to get back by him. Here comes Tate Lytle on David Wilson for 3rd.
Door to door. This is out of turn 4, and it looks like Wilson is going to be able to hang on to the spot. Josh Adams leads the way, but Johnny Thomas putting pressure on him for the top spot.
Yeah, we're seeing these guys kind of all bunch up here at the front again. We've seen a lot of this in other races, not getting separated out so much, so we'll see how it's continuing once the tires wear off.
I think we're going to see a lot of drivers be able to hold their line now, but give it 10, 15, maybe 20 laps. You're going to start seeing people bounce off the fence. Look at the 56 right down on the white dotted line, and he's trying to make up all the ground he can on that 39, but Wilson actually got a spectacular run out of turn 4 and takes a look at Johnny Thomas off into 1.
And Thomas blocking down on the inside. Wilson really nowhere to go. He's going to try to look to the inside in turn 2, but he doesn't have the run as he gets to get that pass done.
And a lot of on throttle time here, and it's only going to get more and more on fresh tires as the sun sets, but wow, Lytle around the outside lane. I don't know if Wilson gave him the spot there, but it sure looked like it. Hanshaw putting pressure on the 39 now. He's got Justin Kolb right on his bumper.
And here comes Hanshaw with the run. Looks like Wilson trying to block him out just a little bit, but he's going to give Hanshaw the lane. Here they go down into turn 1. And it looks like Hanshaw's going to have to back off, and he's going to lose the spot to Kolb, maybe even Finn in behind.
Yeah, again, the outside lane is the quick way around Darlington. Kevin Finn drops to the inside, maybe taking a look in turn number 3. He's going to drive right up on the door, the 46. It's much tighter through here than it is through 1 and 2. And McKeevoy going to drive up the outside of the 14 out of turn 4. He'll take a look at Kevin Finn.
Yeah, he's got a nice run on the straightaway and the draft as well, so it should be a pretty easy pass for McKeevoy as well as Kevin Finn has to back off.
Up front, though, Adams leads the way, but he's got that bright orange Carhartt machine driven by Johnny Thomas in tow. Behind them, I see Tate Lytle and Justin Kolb and David Wilson are fighting for 4th place. Look at Wilson up around the outside of the 52, right up against the wall at a turn 4.
Whoa, and you can see Kolb squeezing to the wall, just trying to not lose that run off the corner, but that outside just so dominant. And here comes McKeevoy to the inside. And he's got to make the dive in the corner, and then you see him slide up the hill to clear Hanshaw. And I think that's what you got to do. You can't be on the inside. You have to clear them before you get to turn 2.
Yeah, you really can't run side by side very effectively. So they got that pass done pretty well. But moving back up to 2nd place, Tate Lytle looks like he's the quickest car on the racetrack right now. Tracked in Johnny Thomas, and Josh Adams has not been able to escape all of this. And meanwhile, in the background, I see Frank Sims running top 10 here early in the going. This has been a good run for the 75 so far.
Yeah, one of his best runs all season long, and he looks like he's hungry for more. He's been tailing in behind Almaso, and also catching Finn, Hanshaw, and McKeevoy up the road.
On the gyro cam, you see Kevin Finn dropped on a line. He's trying to get by Kyle Hanshaw. Through 3 and 4 again. You see it right up against the fence goes Frank Sims, almost inches away as they rocket onto the front straightaway again up the road. It's Kolb and Wilson continuing their fight. The 52 gets the better of Wilson that time through.
So Kolb moving up a few spots, but I wanted to point out what we saw there with Frank Sims. You saw him riding that wall on the outside of the corner, and definitely, as you said, outside lane up as close to the wall as you can get, fast the way around, but you want to be careful you don't choke the momentum off the corner, because remember, this package all about momentum, so you want to make sure you're off the wall by corner exit, otherwise you're going to have to get off the brakes and you're going to lose a whole lot of speed down the straightaway.
Josh Adams, Johnny Thomas, Tate Lytle, a 3-car breakaway at the front of the field. Adams leads, Thomas, Lytle. Last time through, it was the 3rd driver in line that was the quickest. Lytle, a 28.025 to Thomas's 28.057, and Josh Adams, a 28.104. So Lytle is the quickest, but how do you get a pass done here if you can only really follow the driver in front?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big question on everyone's mind today. You see Johnny Thomas getting to the wall a little bit. Lytle looking to try to get on by, but can't get it done. So yeah, I think a lot of these guys are going to have to just kind of, really this run's going to be about experimenting and just kind of testing the waters here. You see Lytle get all the way up to the back bumper of the 83.
Lytle had so much throttle in it. They're only lifting for a moment entering turn 1 and then just planting the throttle right through the firewall again and driving right through the corner just pinned to the floor. I don't remember seeing anything like this on any previous package at all. I mean, the previous cars, 2018 and prior, had so little downforce. Johnny Thomas pulls over. I don't know if he got loose or if he's letting on by Tate Lytle. I think it was the former. And he'll let Lytle on through. So Tate moves to second, Thomas back to third. 24 laps complete. They're ticking off relatively quickly now that we're under green. Let's move back through the pack just a little ways. There is Sam Close, the number 5. Frank Sims right behind him. Tanner Sharp sitting in 12th at the moment. Remember, he is not going to be competing in the playoffs this year because he'll have some surgery on his foot in the coming days and will be out of commission for a little while.
Yeah, indeed. That's actually, speaking of Tanner Sharp, that car is Dale Earnhardt's K2 1956 Ford Victoria, so...
Interesting. It's an interesting off-color, kind of a salmon pink. Frank Sims with some right side damage. Looks like he's been in the wall pretty hard.
That's unfortunate because he's having a fantastic run, but yeah, and we saw him running really close to the wall, and I think it might have been him here, and he could be losing quite a bit of speed. Yeah, that's a decent amount of damage to the right front.
Update on retirement so far. It looks like we have Mike Stevens, James Miller, Austin Darbyshire, and Todd Smith out of the race. We're watching a battle with Hanshaw, Salmaso, and Close for 8th through 10th. And Hanshaw's got a couple of Mustangs breathing down his neck.
Salmaso just trying to build up a run. Salmaso just trying to move up through the field. You see him with a big dive. Whoa! Almost gets into Hanshaw there. He cut it very close with the fenders. And Salmaso going to be to the inside. But you see him just lose all that run, all that momentum on exit. And actually, Sam Close now looking at back.
Off into turn 1 again at high speed. Hanshaw is able to hold on to the spot for now. And moving back up the road, Josh Adams leads the way by 7/10 of a second. Beginning to stretch it out on Tate Lytle and was 2/10 quicker last time through.
Yeah, Lytle needs to do the best he can to try to at least get close to Adams, or at least keep on pace with him.
Out of turn 4, we complete lap number 27. I'm going to move back to the field. There's Frank Sims and Chuck Sweden against Sweden, another one of those guys that is forfeiting his playoff spot. And he will not be able to make enough races in the playoffs to justify his spot. Giving it up for someone else that would be there more consistent.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the teams that always love seeing stuff shooting in the field, so doing Chris to everyone else, but he's having a decent run, especially considering he's got a decent amount of nose damage this early in the race, and he's going to try to make a pass on Frank Sims for 12th place.
And he has to run down the straightaway. Sims has a lot of right side damage, and these cars are a little bit fragile in the right side. You get into the wall, you're going to hurt not only your arrow, to see Frank Sims bounce off again. You're not going to only hurt your arrow, but also your suspension. So Sims is in trouble here. You know, on the background, Matt Gruenberg in 19th place. He's got Nick Miller and Corey Lindsey, a couple of these Glory Motorsports guys in behind. But Gruenberg, again, involved in a collision early in the race after starting at the rear of the field. We were yelling at him last week or last time around for starting at the rear for the same thing. You can get himself caught up in problems he doesn't even be caught up in. So I think right now, he told us last week that he's just kind of having fun right now. When we get to the playoffs, he's going to definitely qualify and play it, more conservatively. But I would be racking up as many wins as I could right now and trying to do everything I could and keep myself in front of the 15 that Frank really currently runs 16.
Yeah, and again, as long as Frank Williams win the race, Gruenberg doesn't have much to worry about. I think that's really his main prerogative. But really, yeah, in last few weeks, Frank was really emerged as a serious competitor to Gruenberg. So yeah. I will see if he does try to maybe change it around for Myrtle Beach, which is the last round of the regular season. He's got to get one more win to tie with Frankenstein in the win column, but we'll see what the 55 is doing.
Hanshaw's hitting the wall on a turn 2. Pretty big, heavy contact for the 46.
As well, let's go back and take a look at how it happened.
Yeah, classic turn 2 there.
Run on board.
And you can get on the throttle, and he tries to back off. Thinks he's clear, but not quite. And Close got very close to him.
Actually, I was going to say, Hanshaw did a great job keeping it off.
Off of Sam Close and not making that a multi-car collision, but he's got a lot of damage to fix in that first pit stop. That should be coming up in about maybe 15 to 20 laps. Maybe a little bit further if they're going to try to break this race up into longer segments. I think they can go further than that. Wilson 6-7th right now. He started up towards the top 5 and is starting to drift backwards in this clutches of Salmaso and Clay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys who are starting to say their tires are slowly finding their way up to the beam since Salmaso makes a few passes already.
Onto the back straightaway and look at the runs you get. You actually kind of lift off the ground at a turn 2. There's actually kind of, I guess, out of Dover, you kind of climb the bank, out of the corner and dive into the corner. Very similar thing here at Darlington, coming out of turn 2. You have to climb a rise, and the car gets light there for a moment, especially if you're on the top lane. So you gotta keep an eye on that. Make sure you don't set yourself off the track. Frank Tame is drifting backwards now with that extra damage on that right side of Carlos Acosta, who also has some right side damage. There's not going to be a single car that is safe from the walls of the radiating black. And there is Matt Groomer getting behind, running 29.165, good enough to put him inside the top 5. He just has a lot of time for this in the game.
Yeah, actually, he go up peak distance with Dave Hunt in the 53. There's a timeless scheme. 1994. Kellogg's Chevrolet. That's a nice looking thing.
Yeah, they ran this paint scheme for a long time, and it's just one of those paint schemes that everyone can recognize in the motorsports world, at least in America. And that would be a really cool throwback if they ever brought the 5-car back at Hendrick Motorsports. I think I'm surprised. I'm actually sad that when we had the. I feel like did someone actually run this? I could have sworn someone. I remember he was escaping this, but I could have sworn somebody ran it. But if Casey Tame didn't run it, he should have. A couple of weeks ago. Up front, it's all Josh Adams. He's leading by 1.6 seconds. This is a dominant run by this 95 driver.
Yeah, really starting to ike out ahead of Tate Lytle, who I thought would actually try to catch him, but he's been slower than Adams at about a tenth a lap. So the gap's been standing by that rate. And got Justin Cope, Kevin Quinn, Johnny Thomas, Jordan Keeler, David Wilson, Tomaso, Close, and Chuck Speed in their top 10.
So we started with about 29 cars. We're down to 24. This is Brian Kluser, who just pulled off the racetrack about 6 or 7 laps ago. Derek Westrick running 29.4s right now. He looks like he's a little off the pace, but he was in that first collision, but he really got all of his damage repaired. He looks okay to continue, and as I say that, he bounces off the wall in turn 2, and that's going to be pretty heavy damage for him. Battle for third place, essentially. Kevin Finn has worked his way into third. He's actually beginning to chase down Tate Lytle.
He's going to allow Thomas getting out of line. I think he steps really out of the corner, and it's going to allow McKeeway to get. No, he's in the pit stop.
Coming to pit road here, and this is maybe perhaps a bit earlier than we thought. So we got a long way to go. We've only run 38 laps, so we've completed 38. We have 145 to go. So Thomas is the first one to hit pit lane. I'm curious if this will start a frenzy to get down to that pit lane.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if a lot more guys will continue down the road a little. Look at the drop off hasn't been too bad. It's about a second and a half, which isn't nothing too crazy. So I think that you may continue on the set of tires for a little while longer, try to get the best out of them. You see Wilson getting tagged. Tomaso on the wall, closing behind them.
Yeah, that was. We all started when looks like David Wilson hit the wall off in turn 2. They got him wadded up, and then Tomaso drove off into the corner, probably trying to clear that group of cars, and ended up hitting the wall himself. So a couple of cars in the fence getting their Darlington strike here within the first 50 laps. But right now, Johnny Thomas, no, he's a lap down. Well, he's in the pit now. He's rolling out. And a 16-second stop. Really not a blazing fast stop at all there. But he'll get rolling. And you're curious to see. Haven't seen anybody else hit pit lane yet.
Thomas is uncharacteristically early stop. I think just trying to test the waters, just do something different than everyone else.
David Wilson has gotten the wall really hard in
turn 4.
Yeah, it was slow on the straightaway too.
So we'll see what happened here. Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle for the 39 to get a lead a little bit.
Yeah, he hit it in turn 3, and then out of turn 4, he's pulled over to let the group on by. It's all Josh Adams out up front. Remember, he didn't start the first round way back at Daytona at the beginning of the season. Ended up winning the first race that he did enter. So he's been very competitive, but in recent weeks has just not had the greatest luck with getting involved in races left and right. But has this car in great position right now. 1.5 seconds up the road. Tate Lytle has recently picked up the pace, though, and is beginning to track down this 95.
Oh, and he gets really close to the wall off the turn 4, so he's definitely pushing, and last time through was actually 10 faster than Adam, so let's see the gap starting to shrink a little bit to the leaders.
Back to 17th place, Matt Groomer is slowly starting his climb up the order, and again, we've talked all season long about how dominant, we knew coming into this season, this 54 would probably be the one to beat, but I don't think we expected it was for Chad Frankenfield to be as competitive as the 54 and even start beating them and racking up as many victories as Matt Groomer. It's a huge juggernaut. in the 3WideRacing Cup Series, going at it late in the season. And they have not found each other a whole lot lately. They haven't really been racing around each other, but pressure in the playoffs come, those two will be head-to-head quite a bit.
Yeah, unfortunately for both of them, they're a little bit ways back in the field in this past, probably definitely where both of them either want to be. Ooh, you see a hand get a nice piece of the wall, and here comes Jonathan Cosgrove with a run on the inside.
So Hanshaw is going to lose another spot, drops back down to 12th after starting inside the top 10. After getting the wall a couple times, he's going to start his trek backwards. He's going to cross up to 27 out of turn 4 then. Tanner Sharp hits pit lane.
Oh, and so does
Westrick, that's
Westrick.
29. And so Johnny Thomas, that was a really early pit stop for the sequence. What do you think of that move?
I mean, honestly, I think it's a decent move. Again, I think if I'm not mistaken, he is in a position where he needs a win. So I think this is him just kind of throwing everything at it to try to get into that playoff picture. Actually, sorry, he's getting on points. So I think again he's just trying something out.
Oh, the playoff picture shifted a lot because of the driver.
Yeah, he's 15 points without everything. So I think he's more or less good at it. So the points picture is the same. So again, I think he's trying something out. Maybe trying to get a win because he runs to get the win, get more bonus points. So I think that's what Thomas is going for.
And the drivers that were collecting the bonus points all season, Matt Gruenberg and Frankenfield, so
9 wins between them out of 59.
Yeah, so if you want to be even anywhere close to them once the gate points reset, you're going to want to give yourself a victory over 3 before the season is out next week at Myrtle Beach. So of course you can't do that, so you might as well get yourself 1. Frankenfield gets around Hanshaw, puts himself into 11th. So Chad, after a rough start with a lot of damage on that 15, is beginning to climb forward. So this 15 car is looking really, really racy right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that car actually doesn't look as bad as it was earlier. They were able to fix it up decently. I'm sure he's hoping for, at least a few more cautions to, kind of get that car fixed up as much as he can. But I mean,
All things considered, I mean, he's running an 11th so far. Of course, under a few green flag pit stops, but still decent run for 15, all things considered.
Kevin Finn takes over the lead as Josh Adams hits pit lane in the 95 Finian. So here comes the leader. And what are we looking at in terms of tire wear? About 2 seconds a lap is what we're spending right now. So anyone trying the overcut here, this might, I mean, if you could go a couple more laps on fuel over the course of the race, it's going to add up to quite a few.
Yeah, and there you also see in the background, I believe that's David Wilson making his way onto pit road, as well as Kyle Hanshaw. So quite a few more takers, especially the leaders, and I imagine this is going to drag a whole lot more people down on the pit road. But you see both these guys getting to their pit stall.
Sun is setting here at Darlington Raceway. That's the other consideration, Finning, is that no one here has experience at Darlington at night. This is relatively new.
Yeah, I was going to say, lights are on, too, so really starting to get into the darkness here, and I'm glad we have, because I really think we should have gotten the night a lot earlier than we should have on the sim. It just feels kind of wrong almost at this point running this track in the daytime.
Absolutely. So Chuck Sweeting assumes the lead right now. He's got a lot of front-end damage from an early accident. Sam Close sits second. His car looks picture perfect. Maybe a bit of quarter panel damage to that right rear, but otherwise unscathed. And honestly, if the longer you can go without scraping the track too tough to tame, you're doing all right. Jonathan Cogswell sits third as the field is beginning their pit sequence. Chad Frankenfield up to 4th place now, and again, I think I would probably want to stay out a little longer. Yep. I'm not quite sure. I think the 95 of Josh Evans felt comfortable out there by himself to be able to pit a little earlier, but I'd want to last as long as my fuel tank runs. This is a long race, and we're just over a quarter of the way done, so we got a long way to go.
Yeah, and again, if you're one of those drivers too that really needs the win and bonus points at all, if you're in that kind of position, definitely think, just stay out of this point, just hope for a caution to come up, because it definitely can happen with drivers making a mistake on pit road, or just with the difference in speed with guys on fresher tires compared to older ones. So you might as well try something, throw something at the wall.
Lights are on here at the Darlington Raceway. Frankenfield off into turn 3. He's going to dive for the pit lane. This is such a hard pit road to get into. Penny, look how far off to the left. Oh. Caution out. And does Frankenfield see it? Yes, he does. And he'll dive out of the way. And thankfully, there's no commitment line he has to worry about. But what was the accident? Matt Gruenberg. And he's tangled up. Is that Hanshaw I saw?
That's a lot of damage there. Not sure if that was Hanshaw or Tanner Sharp.
I think Tanner Sharp came into the frame a little later. But that's almost looking terminal for the 54. Let's go back and see what happened here. Oh, this was a mess. Oh, wow. This happened up ahead of Matt Gruenberg. So let's just follow Matt Gruenberg's view of it here. Was Tate Lytle.
Yeah, it was light on
And the 8 of Lafferty, who's also trying to get in to the playoffs, and he's only got 1 week left. He's on the bubble, and he's involved in a collision as well. What happened here? 5 to 56 first. Here he is, and they're already out of shape.
Yeah, we gotta rewind that.
Yeah, we got to go back and look a little farther back. So the 8.
Was there contact?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
there was. I think Lytle kind of used up the 8, though. He turned down into him, I think. And this is just a mess. There's so much going on. You just got to find. There's Lafferty. See what we can see from his angle here. So out of turn 2, I think the 56 chops. Yeah, just chops across the nose of the 8. Thought he would clear him, and he didn't. And then he's trying to get by this. Gets hit from the 14 of Fan Tanner. Sharp flies into the picture, and Gruenberg just drills the 8 car trying to get slowed down. Nothing that Lafferty did wrong there. Yeah, that was all on the 56 for me.
This is more racing incident. I mean, just due to the nature of the corner, if Lytle ran any more higher on exit, he would have hit the wall.
Yeah, I got to disagree. I mean, I think Lytle turns right across his nose here, Finney. I don't.
Well, otherwise, he would have hit the wall.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think this is a pass he needed to make right here. I think this is we're so early in the race. I don't think you need to pull across the nose like that. And either way, he wrecked himself, and here we are. I don't really think Lafferty. At that time, he's still sitting second. He was on the lead lap and running for position, so there's no expectation for him to get out of the way at all. And if you're going to make the move there, it's on your responsibility to complete the pass safely. So I think that's on the 56 for me. And unfortunately, it hurt the 54 the most, and he might be out of the race at this point unless he can get that car fixed up. And I don't think it's going to be competitive at all. And that's just that is about as wrecked as I've seen one of these Mustangs here, Finney. It's missing the tailgate and the rear deck lid and everything.
I wouldn't be surprised if he called it a day here. I don't think there's really again much point coming back on track with the car that damaged.
Yeah.
So I think Gruenberg might call it a day here. We'll see if he'll continue out.
He's going to come into pit lane. This will probably be quite a bit of required repair at the very least. Johnny Thomas, he's got some scrapes up on the right side of that car. How about Chad Frankenfield? We were watching him come to pit lane and was able to dodge the closed pit entry, so he was able to stay out, and he'll come to pit lane. And there are a couple of cars that got caught a lap down in that sequence, but not a whole lot. I think this worked out kind of nicely for those drivers. But Carlos Acosta, the first car, 1 lap down right now in that blue Marlins car. So field already getting doubled back up. I think we already have had everyone come to pit lane, and yes, we have. So Tanner Sharp's out on 10-lap old tires and fuel, but most of the rest of the field has come to pit lane within the last couple laps. Sam Close in that number 5, probably one of the best looking cars out front. Nick Miller is also in pretty decent shape, I think. And Corey Lindsay in this 00, he was kind of mired in the rear, kind of taking his time earlier to avoid everything. He's sitting inside the top 5, potentially a top 5 run for the 00. He's trying to get into the playoff picture.
I just saw Sam Close hit the wall off turn 2. Not sure why.
Under yellow?
Yeah.
Oh, he just lost attention there for a second. It doesn't look like he damaged anything. You don't want to be hitting.
Yeah,
and caution has just been extended here.
Yeah, caution extended for all the way rounds. A lot of guys taking them. In fact, majority of the field.
Oh, yes. So Salmaso, Lytle, McKeevoy, Dave Hunt, Justin Kolb, and more. Justin Kolb was involved in a collision as well, and that car was running very well earlier in the race. Some front end damage to that. Dave Hunt in that beautiful Kellogg's inspired livery. The field caught back up here, so we'll go green next time by. Again, this racetrack different on one end versus the other. We always talked about it being challenging, but you talked about the challenges of the racing line here and exiting. You have to turn down to make the corner. I agree with you there. I mean, you have to. That's how you make the corner. You go up against the wall and you cut down on exit. I think the problem is you can't just cut down on exit if there's a car there, especially if they're on the lead lap racing for position. So if you're gonna make that pass, you can, but you got to make sure you don't wreck yourself doing it. But turns 3 and 4, very different than 1 and 2. And how do you drive that? I think 1 and 2 you want to be right up against the wall. 3 and 4 though,
3 and 4, you can kind of experiment a lot more. It really depends on how, you know, how you are in the race, you know, as far as who you're around and how you're racing other drivers. So, I mean, you know, if you're trying to make a pass, you can enter in low, you know, get high in the middle of the corner, or you can just run the bottom all the way around, the highway all the way around. So it kind of depends on, you know, how you're trying to make a pass, which is, again, you're usually running more or less close to a lot of drivers here.
A lot of wave rounds, a lot of single file towards the rear of the field here as we come out of turn 4. It's Chuck Sweeting in control. Green flag back in the air. Lap 57 of 183.
Chuck Sweeting going to lead them on down. Sam Close in second. Frankenfield up into third place. Lafferty pulling off the track with his damaged car.
Out of turn 2, everyone trying to get sorted out and underway here again. Got a car moving out of the way. That's the 29 of Westrick. Staying way low. And up front, Sweeting still has the top spot, but Sam Close takes a look, and here comes Frankenfield putting pressure on him down the front straight.
Oh, and it looks like Thomas thought about making it 3 wide there for a second. Definitely not going to work, but here comes Frankenfield on the inside, Close on the outside. As you look now back at Cole, and Tanner Sharp with his damage machine getting past.
Well, beginning to single themselves back out. And this is one of those racetracks, Finny, and it's a lot like a road course in that you kind of race the track. You don't, not racing the other people on it. You're just trying to run the quickest lap you can without putting yourself in the wall. For the lead, though, side by side, Sweeting and Close.
Yeah, Close is one of the cleanest cars on the track now. I think definitely trying to use that to his advantage. He's trying to find a way around Chuck Sweeting, but hasn't been able to do it. Now at Frankenfield, too. Up, running in third, and decently so. Hasn't dropped back, so he's has the pace. He can stick up with these guys.
Considering the damage he had earlier, it's a pretty good feat. Johnny Thomas sits in fourth right now, putting a lot of pressure on that 15 to go swimmer and do something right up against the fence in 3 and 4. Maybe you look on Sam Close on corner exit. No, Close clears himself and moves up into second. And the 95 was probably the biggest loser on this whole sequence. And he's all the way back in 14th place. He was leading the race by 1.6 seconds when he came into pit lane. And now he's battling for 13th and 12th with Selmaso, Tanner Sharp, and Selma.
Yeah, Tanner Sharp's still dropping down the order. I think he's trying to survive out there with that damaged car for now. But you see Josh Adams, he got really caught out by that caution, put him all the way back in 13th, and he's going to be stuck in the back for a while because passing you through traffic here is really hard to do.
Out of turn 2 now, Sweeting beginning to pull a slight gap. It's 0.2 of a second on Sam Close. Chad Frankenfield riding third. Johnny Thomas in fourth. Nick Miller in the Glory Motorsports car running right behind him in fifth.
Miller trying to make up some spots here. This caution was really beneficial for him, as well as quite a few other drivers to get them up into the mix. And we'll see how long they can last there.
Almost full throttle through here on relatively fresh tires. We haven't seen a whole lot of lifting until we're later in the run. Even turn 3. Let's just ride on board and listen here. Lift for a second, and then you're right back on it. And feeding in throttle again. Ooh, Johnny Thomas really squirrely out of 4, and then that's Chad Frankenfield on the inside. They're nose to nose, door to door in turn 3, or turn 2 rather.
And here comes Frankenfield now with the run to the inside, and is just going to clear Close off for turn 2. Gets a little bit squirrely doing so, and that's opened the door for Thomas now to the inside of Close.
Down the back straightaway, Thomas closes the gap. He's going to dive to the inside of the 5, but doesn't have the grip to stay down there. He'll have to slot in, but he's going to get in the wall, and here comes Nick Miller, maybe putting pressure on for 4th. Sam Close trying to get back by Frankenfield again. Both these cars have been mighty competitive. Frankenfield's had the better season, but Close has a lot of potential. I think he's been running very consistently this season, just hasn't had the victories that Frankenfield has had.
And Sam Close is trying to find a way around Frankenfield now. Looks like Frankenfield's starting to lose a little bit of time to Sweeting as Close gets into the wall.
Big time gets in the wall. Johnny Thomas going to swing to the outside lane to try to take advantage of it.
Thomas might have it here. Oh, as they make contact in turn number 1, they're going to continue going on as Nick Miller gets checked up.
And Corey Lindsay, Nick Miller's Glory Motorsports teammate, is going to close the gap and maybe take a look for a pass on Nick Miller. Let's go back and take a look at that collision down in turn number 1. Yeah, the Close just slid up the racetrack, got into the 83. Nothing intentional there, just 2 cars going for 1 spot. Racing at Darlington.
Looking back through the order. Tate Lytle's been able to move himself up into 8th place after the restart. Joshua Adams in 10th. So they've made some decent inroads back to the front of the field, but again, I think they might need another caution to kind of get themselves further back up towards the lead where they were running before.
You see Tate Lytle in the background. There's a car on the wall. That's Carlos Acosta, I believe. No, it's who is that in the? Oh, it is Carlos Acosta in the 24. And I was trying to find him on the order, and it is because he's a lap down. He's all out of shape. Here's a look. And the 21 McKeevoy. Oh, caution out of the racetrack. Kyle Hanshaw and Frank Sims out of turn 2. He's going to pound the wall as well, even after the yellow flag came out. He'll be kicking himself for that one.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he might have gone to the wall trying to avoid what happened.
Well, considering there are 2 sides of the racetrack, I don't think that was the case. But here is Kyle Hanshaw's view. That was Carlos Costa recovering and just got himself up into the wall on entry and spun back up the racetrack. And oh no, he clobbered Dave Hunt. Oh, and David Wilson involved as well. Oh, so Wilson, the strategy ended up hurting him with the time of that yellow flag coming out, and here's his view of this incident.
Tries to get slowed down. Unfortunately, picked the wrong line. Tried to go low as he began to roll down the surface.
He can't see a whole lot. He can see the smoke, but by the time he's in his vision, he's on the brakes, and there's nothing he could have done. It looked, if you go back to the nose camera here, it looks like he should have been able to see this from a mile away. But going back to his vision, he can't see it. He jumps on the brakes as soon as he can, and that was Richard Hines' view of it, right? But Wilson was not able to avoid it. All right, well, pit stop's underway for some of the front runners here, Finian, and I'm assuming 4 tires and fuel is going to be the call pretty much every time tonight. Yeah,
I think you're going to want as much of the grip as possible. I think it's just not really worth, just taking 2. You might as well just sit the extra 7 seconds and get 4 on them. See Frankenfield roll off, and that caution has probably benefited him the most earlier. The caution before this, as he actually rolls out in the lead.
This is dangerous for Matt Grunberg. I think his night is over. He's 8 laps down. That car pretty much looking like it's going to be retired after starting in the rear and end up getting in a collision. GNF, not what he needs, especially with his championship foe sitting in 2nd place. I think Kevin Finn has stayed out on the racetrack.
He actually got the wave around, so he's going to come by this time through.
And that'll put Frankenfield back in the lead. Corey Lindsay 2nd, Tate Lytle 3rd. Tate Lytle was able to kind of rebound on this whole sequence.
Where is Josh Adams?
It looks like he is sitting 8th, so he gained a couple spots in that pit stop sequence as well. So 71 laps complete here in Darlington, and the track is now bathed in artificial light for the first time here on Sim TV, and it's pretty cool to see this track lit up like this. I just wish we could get the red and white striped walls.
Yeah, definitely. It makes the track look a lot better, and it really leans into that throwback style. Speaking of which, I did look up, we're talking about Terry Labonte's throwback. There actually was a car that ran a throwback. It was a number 32. Not here, but at Talladega, because I think that was actually.
Because I could have sworn I remembered. Yeah. Okay. I remembered seeing that car. I just couldn't remember who drove it. And I feel like if it had been the 5 of Casey Kane, I would have probably recognized it in my head sooner. But the fact that it was a 32, that I don't pay attention to what Go Fast Racing is doing on a weekly basis. So especially not in what year was that? Probably 2014. Yeah. So it's been a while. So there's Dave Hunt in pit lane. That car looking pretty destroyed after that contact there. Unfortunate. Wrong place, wrong time for him. But Frankenfield leads the way. There's Derek Westrick waiting to get him at least 1 wave around. He's currently 2 laps down.
He's going to look forward to at least getting another lap back for him. It's been a struggle for him since the beginning of the night. He's getting put a few laps down. He's been struggling to get back on the lead lap. But that car, for the most part, looks pretty fine.
Yeah, I think he's just been trying to keep himself out of the harm's way, and he's done a decent job of that so far. Had 4 cautions so far for a total of 14 laps. We've had 5 lead changes, and we're working our way towards halfway in this race. And coming up next week, Myrtle Beach, the regular season finale. Really excited for that one. That's a racetrack I have never been to in iRacing before. I know nothing about it.
Neither do I, for them.
So it's going to be a fun stream to watch next week for sure. We'll be trying to figure out what corner is what. It's always fun with short tracks that are, you know, you can't never tell what corner you're in. That's why they use the old TV3 cam. It's because you can always know what corner you're in, because if you're on the left side, you're in 3 and 4. If you're on the right side, you're in 1 and 2. So Frankenfield on the outside for the restart here. What do you think of that choice?
I think it's an interesting one. I think probably, I would honestly prefer to start on the outside. You can see him get a nice run off the corner before everyone can even get up to speed. Green flag back in the air.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that he chose the outside, just because on fresh tires, I feel like the inside lane, even here, is the place to, you know, at least block it by. But Frankfield got such a big jump, it didn't even matter. Lytle for second place, though. Hard charging. Ooh, Lindsay almost gets into him there. And Lindsay pulls left on the back straightaway. Here comes Nick Miller and a whole host of other cars.
Before the lead, Lytle's not slowing down. He's going immediately to the inside of Frankfield in 3 and 4. Has to back out of it. Couldn't get the run, but Lytle already going for the lead.
And behind him, it's a hornet's nest for third place. Miller has it. McKeeboy, Lindsay, Cogswell want it. Frankfield trying to break the draft on the front straightaway. We're down to 21 cars after Sweeting, Sims, and Gruenberg have retired in the last 20 laps.
Looks like Lindsay's struggling to stay up. He's getting swamped by a lot of other guys. Speaking of what, Gracie Josh Adams in his Best Buy Chevrolet coming through the picture. The outside of Cogswell now over the back bumper of Lindsay.
The sun is going down. The intensity is picking up here at Darlington Raceway. The track too tough to tame. Here comes Josh Adams on the outside of Lindsay on the front straight.
Makes fantastic move there. He's going to pretty much get the spot by turn 1. There you see the clear position.
Oh, car on the wall hard. Nick Miller. And he's going to... Oh, does he have it saved? He does.
Wow, great save there.
Oh,
whoa! Oh,
big hit for
Luis
Salmaso. And right back into traffic goes Cogswell, caution out. And for Salmaso, night over. This was right behind Cogswell. He dives. Oh, Cogswell. Oh, man, that was a big hit. And
Salmaso, yeah, he was just a victim at that point. There's nothing he could do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, there's absolutely nothing you could do. This is, yeah, his view. By the time you even see that car, you're already in the wall. I mean, this just hurts to watch. Oh, hate that for his. There it is in slow motion to make it hurt even more. You know, you see that guy go off to the right, you're just hoping that he makes the corner, and that safer barrier goes away, but not soon enough. They tangle out of 2. Oh. And they slid right back into traffic, and this is what I was worried about is... Wow, who was that?
89, Brett Miller.
Brett Miller. Let's take a look at his view. Oh, man, he got right up against the wall trying to miss that. He did a good job getting on through. He was very hesitant on throttle, trying to figure out whether he wanted to be on gas or on brake, and chose gas correctly. So some of the drivers are on pit lane, but the majority of the front runners have stayed out, at least the top 5. Frankenfield, Lytle, McKeeboy, Adams, and Close.
So, really, Frankenfield have been quite surprised, or pleasantly surprised at his pace. You know, I thought he would have, on these restarts starting up in front, I probably thought he would have drifted back to maybe 6th or 7th, but has still been up there, probably to Gruenberg's dismay.
Well, they don't call it the track easiest to drive, Finian, do they? It's been a bit of attrition tonight, and we only have 13 cars on the lead lap, and we're not even to halfway yet. So it's been a challenging one for the race car drivers. It's been a challenging one for the strategy because of the caution that came out in the middle of the pit stop sequence. So from here, I mean, if you're sitting in 5th, let's say you're Sam Close, what's your strategy to get yourself a victory at this point?
I think really, I guess, I think the best thing to do is stay up front. You know, obviously it's getting a little bit easier as more and more cars drop out of the race. But definitely, we've been seeing that it's been hard to get by people when you're in the back. It took Adams and Lytle, arguably the fastest guys in the field, a little while to get up through there, and they really benefited from pit stops to take advantage of that and get themselves further up the order as well. So I definitely think you want to at least keep yourself in the top 5 when it comes down to it, because if you're wasting time trying to pass cars in behind that speed-wise are probably behind you more or less, you're going to be losing a lot of valuable time.
So, Corey Lindsay in 5th place. This 00 has looked like he could gain some track position with the pit stop sequence, but he doesn't have a whole lot of speed once the green flag drops. You know, how do you find speed around Darlington Raceway other than just ripping the outside line and try not to hit it? I mean, if you're off the pace, is there anything you can do to remedy that?
Not really. I mean, really just, again, just getting good runs off the corner, because obviously you're not going to have the engine to help you out. So I think really just run as high as you can, maximize the run off the corner, and really I think that's the best way to mitigate it.
David Wilson returning to the racetrack in his 39 that head right back down pit lane. Of course, he involved in one of the more recent collisions, and not a whole lot he could have done to miss it. 1 to green here. Lights are off for the pace car. Frankenfield, Lytle, McKeevoy, Adams close.
Getting double file back up, but also put the camera back to Corey Lindsay. This is looking to be a great run for him, and this could easily thrust him back into the playoff picture. He's doing really well if he can get inside finish inside the top 6, 7 where he's running. He's gonna definitely surpass guys around him like Lafferty and Hines who struggle in this race.
Yeah, so Lafferty is still out on the racetrack. Hines is as well, but Corey Lindsay is outperforming them. Again, it's a 35-point gap between Lafferty and Lindsay, but you know how things kind of sway and change, especially with halfway points as well.
Yeah.
So a couple of drivers catching up to the field. Westrick, Hanshaw, and Lafferty are all chasing the field back to the green flag here, and it'll be Frankenfield leading back to the green. This time chooses the inside lane. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think he saw Lytle make that opportunistic move down into 3 and said, I want to be able to protect that a little better, so he chooses the inside for the restart. And green flag is back in the air here at Darlington.
Yeah, fantastic start for Frankenfield once again. But how about McKeevoy as well? He's emerged in the picture here. You see the inside of Adams, and also Lytle almost in the wall trying to get a run off the corner.
Here he comes. Look at this great run to the outside lane, though. Can Frankenfield defend at a turn 2, door to door, as they rocket down the back straightaway?
And he's gonna, looks like he might lose it there, and indeed he is. Lytle's gonna take the lead in half a lap. Here comes Adams to the inside of McKeevoy now.
Josh Adams, who led the majority of the first part of the race, back down to the inside of McKeevoy, and Frankenfield, I guess he chose the wrong lane rather, so the outside seems to be the place to be instead. I guess you learned that the hard way. McKeevoy chops back across the nose of the 95 of Adams. Ooh, checkup down in that corner, and it's going to send close right around the 95. So everyone's scattering with that checkup.
Yeah, and here comes close to the outside. Going to rocket around the outside of the 95. Adams kind of sitting stuck at the moment behind the side-by-side between Thomas and Lindsay.
There's Kevin Finn as well in the mix. Cogswell slow in the background, 146. He's off the pace, dropping a few positions, but back up the road. I think we're single filed out mostly, but Tate Lytle is in the lead right now. He's got to run away to escape that 95 of Josh Adams, who I think still is probably one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier about getting stuck in traffic. See Adams now having to pass 3 cars ahead of him while Lytle has got clear air to work with. And now Frankenfield and McKeevoy going side by side. 2 battles, one for 3rd, one for 5th. Actually, that's for 2nd and for 4th, rather. Actually, now Thomas has joined the fray. He's looking at potentially a pass on Adams. So Adams struggling with the traffic here. A lot of full throttle time around here on the fresh tires, and Adams is taking advantage of that. He's got a very clean car. A lot of the drivers around him do not. Off into 3. I think Lytle scraped the fence again. McKeevoy going for 2nd place, rubbing with Frankenfield in turn 3. Adoring each other off the final corner. And Close is going to get a big run on McKeevoy. Does he dare try to make him pass to the inside before the corner? Nope. Check up again. Sam Close, the 95, got together. And look at this Hornet's nest in turns 1 and 2. Yeah, Adams gets checked up yet again. And here comes Thomas looking to the outside. Looks like he's going to back off, let Adams slot in line. Really careful coming off of turn 2 in case someone bounces off the wall. You don't want to be to their inside as they just rocket back across the racetrack off the safer barrier. So I think we've settled things for just a moment. Lytle has driven away 1.2 seconds up the road. Close still holds 4th place in front of Josh Adams, and Adams is beginning to lose his patience. You saw him push the 5 back into turn 1 the last time. Yeah, I kind of don't blame him a bit. You see him look to the inside of Close because you can see Lytle already in turn 3, and Adams losing a lot of time to the leader. Yeah, I saw him take a look to the inside of the 5 on Close in turn 3, and Close threw the block on him. So Adams is not going to sit around for too much longer. Johnny Thomas maybe a little shove to the 95 off in turn 1. Though look at Adams hounding this 5 car. Here he comes to the inside. To the inside he goes with Sam Close. Can he make it stick? You see him riding the white line, and he got enough grip for now. keep the tires going.
Dangerous move there, but they somehow made it stick off into 3, door to door. There might be a little bit of contact. Close goes up the racetrack. Now in the clutches of Johnny Thomas behind. Maybe a crossover on a turn 4.
I think Close is going to try to do the crossover. Can't get enough of a run. Adams is now looking at Frankenfield up ahead for third. There you see him dive to the inside. Look at the maneuverability in that car. It looks like Frankenfield is going to let him on by.
Looks like he's driving a Daytona prototype out there. He's able to turn wherever he needs to go. Close now to the inside of the 15 of Frankenfield.
We're going to continue with a nice run off the corner. Also, that opened the door for Thomas in behind.
There is the 8 car of Richard Lafferty, just showing him because he's about a half a lap behind already. With traffic this tight, the lap traffic will be really, really interesting. But Lytle, 1.3 seconds up the road, then it's extremely tight for third through about 10th place on behind.
Thomas with a great run on Frankenfield to the inside. Here he goes. Might be able to clear him before the corner. Frankenfield's going to keep in it, though, on the outside. And there you see Thomas having to back off. Franklin's going to get the run. Close also going to try to join him.
Oh, Sam Close inches off the wall. Here comes Justin Kolb. He's going to try to take on the opportunity to get right back by Close. The Close dropping down the order very, very quickly. He's only scraped the wall a couple times, but he seems like his damage that he has is really hurting him.
Yeah, definitely hurting him, especially in traffic. You see Kolb to the inside of the 5. He's going to get a line on by. And here comes Kevin Finn also, and Close is surrounded on all sides.
He's kind of boxed in here in turn 3. This is kind of a dangerous moment here because we know this 5 is struggling. He's getting defensive in the braking zones and just trying to hold on to his spot. Johnny Thomas takes a look to the inside of Frankenfield. That battle is for 4th.
And going to clear him by the corner.
Darkness here at the Lady in Black. Look at Kolb with this great run out of turn 2. And a run on Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, Frank all the way up to the wall, trying to get the run off the corner. Has been his really saving grace in 3 and 4. Has done a great job defending on that outside lane.
Out halfway here at Darlington Raceway, throwback night. And Frankenfield is also slipping back, as is the 5 of Sam Close. And Kolb really pushing Frankenfield down the straightaway here.
Yeah, I think he knows that he can't really make much of a pass in 3. You see him just cap the wall just a little bit, but is going to turn on down, get a nice run off the corner. Looks like,
that was a little bit of contact there with the rear bumper off into turn 1. Almost full throttle as they go door to door. Maybe some more contact between those 2.
Yeah, and Kolb wasn't going to make it done. They're still going to be side by side off for 2.
Ooh, man. Tight behind him as well. That's Corey Lindsay in 8th place. Kevin Finn 9th. Carlos Acosta 10th. Look at this Hornet's nest off into turn 3.
Yeah, now Kolb put at the disadvantage on the inside. Cole's going to take advantage of that rock around the outside, getting the toe off of Frankenfield. And we'll get the pass done behind them. Lindsay, Acosta, and Finn going for the spot.
There's about 12 cars within a, well, okay, maybe 8 cars, 7 cars, 6 cars, 7 cars within about 6 car lengths through 3 the last time by. But whoa, look at the dart that Close did on the inside of the 15.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to help him, though. Frankenfield's been easily getting the run off the corner. There you see him. So Close is going to be now at a disadvantage on the straightaway.
Background Acosta and Kevin Finn fighting. They brought in Nick Miller, and that is the 89 of Brent Miller, who narrowly avoided an earlier collision, but is running currently in the free pass position if there was another caution to come out. They're hoping that group up the road gets a little unruly.
So far, it's been pretty clean between them. Some slight rubbing against each other, but for the most part, pretty hard considering how Darlington is. And up the road, Josh Adams has been closing in on McKeevoy. There's only 3 turns in behind him, so it looks like he might make a pass here on the next few laps. Speaking of a pass, here comes Kolb to the inside of Sam Close.
Oh, in the wall is Sam Close out in turn 2, and Kolb trying to take advantage of the opportunity, but somehow Close got a decent run, even with scraping the wall. He scrapes it again in turn 3.
Yeah, our guys have been playing with that line on the entry of 3. And here comes Adams with a huge run on McKeevoy before they even get to the corner. I thought it would have been a little battle in turns 1 and 2, but Adams is going to get him before they get there.
That was a battle for second, passed and completed. And now McKeevoy under attack from Johnny Thomas.
You see there, Thomas with slightly fresher tires than the guys around him has definitely been putting them to good use.
Josh Adams right now is just...
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Josh Adams has also disappeared.
Oh, no. Oh, Josh Adams, the lady in black is going to strike again, but this time in the form of internet failure.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. He just was running really well until that point. Looked
Yeah,
like he
so-
had a good, just after he got past all that traffic. And I feel like at this point, probably not going to see him come back.
Yeah, unfortunately, Josh Adams dropping out of the race. Tate Lytle leads this race by 4.2 seconds, and that was the only foe he had, was Josh Adams chasing him down. Battle for fifth, though, getting really intense between these drivers.
Go now to the inside, and Franklin's going to get the spot. Franklin's going to tuck back in line.
And Justin Cole, how about tonight that 52 car's been having? He was involved in a collision earlier, and right now he's running inside the top 5 and potentially a chance at the podium or even a victory.
Here comes Tame with a great run, showing that he's still got some speed, but it looks like he's going to stick in behind Cole.
Patience, biding your time, a little bit of aero push off the 52. Double zero as well, locked in lockstep with these drivers, and I think the passing is getting more difficult as the tires are wearing off. The line is getting more sensitive, and the aero push is getting worse.
See Lindsay struggling to get through the corner at speed, and here comes Johnny Thomas to the inside of McKeeboy for second place after Adams has dropped out.
Yeah, Thomas right now, his last time by ran a 28.991. That was quicker than pretty much everybody except for Tate Lytle. And Justin Kolb ran pretty quick as well, 28.918. So Kolb also running some pretty good laps. 83 laps to go next time around. And Tate Lytle is the current leader.
Yeah, and he's easily taking control of this race here, especially with Adams dropping out. I'm sure he had a little bit of a fist pump after seeing Adams drop out, being his main competitor for the night. So unless Thomas can muster up something here and we get a caution, it's looking like it's 56's day.
Yeah, again, you're planning yourself out to the end of the race. So I would guess potentially 2 stops from here. Maybe 1. You could probably go 1. I mean, if you could go, I don't know, that's going to be tight. If you go 20 laps, that would put you at 122.
That's going to be about 60. Yeah, I think that's going to be cutting it kind of close.
So if it's a 2-stopper from here, when do you come to pit lane?
So I can do some math. I think probably if you want to evenly cut it out, I would say probably come in the next 5 or 7 laps.
That would seem to be like the best idea, in my opinion, would be coming pretty soon and split it up into 2 even segments.
So we'll see what these guys do try to achieve here. Again, a lot of guys might try to just stay out and hope for a caution, although with quite a few guys out of it at this point. We've got quite a few cars.
Yeah, about half the field is gone. However, the half that is left, they're still racing each other really hard, so I don't think the chance for caution has really gone away. So much as kind of changed when it might happen. Frankfield really kind of fighting handling issues right now. I don't think he's got that car where he wants it.
Yeah, and again, it just hasn't really gotten a lot of cautions to help. He did get a few in that stretch, although I think he was just trying to stay out. Because he felt comfortable with the damage he had to at least stay up there. But I think in the long, and it's been helping on the short runs. He's been able to use the tires to advantage, but on the long runs, he just doesn't have the aero on that car to really keep up with these guys. Here comes Kevin Finn to the inside.
He's going to let on by that number 14. And Carlos Acosta, he's found his way back on the lead lap. Sits 9th right now.
He's going to get a solid run of Frankville. I think Frankville's just, just trying to survive the rest of this race at this point.
Sits in behind while the 24 dives below, and contact! And the 15 gets put in the wall, and oof. Have to go back and look at that from a different angle. Yeah, I think the 24 just slid up the racetrack and kind of used up the 15 a bit.
And that's a tricky thing about turn 1. You can try to dive to the inside, but you have to watch for that sliding up.
Yeah, I mean that's all the 24, but also typical Darlington. I mean, there's not. We got a car hitting pit lane. It's Jordan McKeeboy, and I like this call.
So McKeeboy trying something out here, coming into pits. Has had a great run in the Truck Series, a decent run in the Cup Series as well. Although I think he's hoping to try to get a win here.
Tate Lytle all out front by 5.5 seconds and still running some of the best lap times on the racetrack. I know Johnny Thomas is also still competitive. And that lead is still slowly gaining, though. I don't think Johnny is as consistent as the 56.
So I'm really, right now, I'm liking that 21 strategy here, and this is kind of how I would play it out, and just kind of cutting into nice even stints, as you were saying as well. So we'll see how everyone else stays out, and who knows if that 21 can play his cards right. I mean, he's 25th in points. It would be huge for him as far as playoffs are concerned.
Cogswell, the last car on the lead lap. That's Brett Miller, who is 1 lap down. That just got in the fence again. That car is looking a little worse for wear on all the fenders.
That car has definitely seen some better days, and yeah, he's just hoping for Crockett to get the free pass.
What is that labeled as a throwback car?
Yes, actually, it's not on the documents, but it's definitely that.
Well, I almost thought for a second I thought it was a Sam Hornish throwback, but it's definitely older than that. Judging off of the silver and black, I think Hornish's car is more of the blue and red and silver, or blue, red, and white rather, colors.
I don't see on the list.
We're not old enough to know who probably drove that.
I mean, it looks like a pretty
looks
modern,
cool, but yeah, I don't know.
scheme.
I don't remember seeing it. I mean, it could be like an Xfinity or Nationwide scheme or something. Infinity's going to go do some Googling. As we at about 75 to go, and the lead beginning to dwindle just a touch. And Lytle's going to gain all that time right back with a 28.9 last time to Johnny Thomas's 29.0. I think this is probably a good time to do a SimTV sound sync.
6 laps to go here at Darlington Raceway, and Tate Lytle had sacrificed his lead to come down pit lane and get some tires and fuel and try to go to the end of the race, but I don't think he can make it, so it's going to be a one-stopper from there for Tate Lytle. A lot of other drivers coming and hitting pit lane, Justin Cole, Kevin Finn, and others, including Sam Close.
Yeah, so Lytle's going to have to go, let's see, at this point, 64 laps. He's going to have to go a little bit longer than I think that's a little bit too long. So he's definitely going to have to make another stop. And I'm really curious, we just saw him get past Jordan McKeeway to effectively take the lead once the pit stops play out. If you might be in a distance of Lytle, you might be able to overtake him on the pit strategy.
So we'll see if McKeeway can make this happen. Again, the overcut potentially the way to go, but there is Tate Lytle right there. Oh, a block over, and Double Zero's going to get out of the way. They had the pit lane, I think. It looked like he was trying to block him, but he was just trying to get the pit lane. So he will go there from the lead, and that was a wild moment. Let's just take a quick look at that
From on board Corey Lindsay's car.
Lytle with a massive run on fresh tires.
Whoa! He heads into pit lane. Tanner Stark stays out of the race. Technique Miller. A lot of these guys still need to come to pit road, but Tate Lytle running fifth right now. He'll take over the lead as soon as everyone cycles back out.
So now, looks like at the moment, the drivers that are still, actually, one driver that's getting down is Nick Miller, getting sharp down pit road.
It's a pretty long pit lane sequence there because the pit speed is only 45 miles an hour, and you have to enter it way in the middle of turns 3 and 4. And you spit out right at the end of turn 1, so it's a long pit lane delta here.
Coming through his stall. Looks like Nicky Miller, I think, is coming on down as well.
Yeah. He'll make it in. That will turn the lead back over to Tate Lytle, and where does this shake out with the D-Boy? Looks like the D-Boy kind of 2.2 seconds behind Tate Lytle, which is about a 4-second gain. One lap to go here at Darlington. And earlier in the race, it was Josh Adams to lose, and internet issues for the 95, and looks like he's done for the night. We have 16 of our 29 original starters.
Really unfortunate for Adams. He's looking for a really solid finish and has some of the win to loss or something, so you're worried about the points, but yeah, he's having a really good day and forcing to finish back with 17.
Whereas Victor Frankfield back in 7th place. He's saying, oh, well, that's not a great run for Chad Frankfield, because usually he's used to running top 3. His foe in the points, Matt Grunberg, down in 24th. So not looking great for Grunberg in terms of collecting another victory. I wouldn't say not tonight, but next you get Myrtle Beach. I think that 54 is probably the favorite.
Yeah, we've seen Grunberg much better on the short track than some of the other guys out there, so we'll see if he can get that win to tie everything back up as far as the win is concerned.
Justin Cole having a great day in this 52 running 4th place. Carlos Acosta. This is a confusing day for lots of bad luck, lots of bad situations early in the season. Using his 24 out of the point positions that he probably deserves, and picks 5th right now. This is a great run for the 24.
Still got a shot to get another spot if you can get back up to Cole. Cole goes starting to pull away a little bit from 44.
Yeah, last time by, Acosta was about dead even with the 52. There's Sam Close as well. He's running down in 12th. With Corey Lindsay in the 0-0. Getting 8th place right now. And that car is pretty squeaky clean, all things considered. And after a long day of Darlington, sometimes coming home with just minimal damage is the win in itself.
Yeah, it really is the type of track where you can just make it home in one piece. It's an accomplishment in and of itself. So Corey Lindsay doing a great job with that, and having just a solid run in 8th place, as we talked about earlier. Again, he's kind of looking at the playoff picture, although it's we do have to kind of adjust. And we'll try to get everything updated for next week after the 3 drivers who announced that they're dropping out of the championship fight. So that kind of changes the playoff picture quite a bit. And I think that puts Lindsay in a decent margin as well.
What?
And actually, let me just try to cut you off. I wanted to mention about Corey Lindsay's paint scheme. Mario Andretti's number 2 that ran in the 1969 Indianapolis 500. So it's actually an IndyCar throwback.
That's a way long throwback.
Yeah.
I was just going to check in with Brett Miller because he was involved in a collision earlier, 13th, and we did find out, thank you, Chuck Sweeting, it was a special paint scheme for Jeremy Mayfield in potentially an all-star race or something of the sort. So that's why we couldn't find it easily on the internet.
Yeah, that explains the silver. A lot of guys throwing silver on for the all-star events on their paint scheme. But yeah, definitely that paint scheme, unfortunately, not being the best of days, that 2 laps down.
Well, it's not the best of days in terms of the overall picture, but when you look at the rest of the field, he's finishing in front of some heavy hitters. Adams, Salmaso, Wilson, Sweeting, Gruenberg. He's finishing ahead of a lot of people that probably might not, on a normal week, might not. So the attrition level has been high, and honestly, one of the most important things on Darlington is keeping your equipment underneath you, and I think a lot of drivers have not done that tonight.
Yeah, and the thing too with Darlington is, well, when you get damage, when you start to get damage to your car, it kind of almost gets worse. When you start to get damaged more and more as your car is not handling as well, you're going to end up hitting the wall. And it just kind of snowballs with the damage. You can some of the quick on it.
Yeah, it definitely snowballs the damage situation. You're totally right about that. I mean, you'll run 30, 40 laps perfectly clean, and as soon as you get that first right front in the wall, in the next 5 laps you're hitting it again and again and again. It just absolutely snowballs into a horrible handling race car. To the point where you end up making a big mistake and then taking yourself or maybe other people out with you. 52 laps to go, working your way towards 50. It's only about 24 minutes left in this race. And Richard Lafferty's the last car running on the racetrack. And that car looks a little worse for wear. So it gotta be, is that a Ralph Earnhardt throwback? It's an old white 8 car, off color. That's my guess. I see they're on the list of they're moving from a very far distance away. Interesting. Good West Trick though is again a late entry to the series. I think his first race is back at Michigan. Ends up wrecked out of there. Hasn't been fast tonight, Finian, but he has been out of trouble, and that's been the most important thing, keeping that car in the race.
Yeah, and there's been reason benefit to that. Unfortunately, it hasn't really had the pace. He's dropped to 3 laps down back in 15. But again, that car has been pretty clean. He's been pulling out of the way of Close and just Phil.
I think he's 3 laps down by design. He's keeping himself out of the mix and keeping himself out of trouble, and it's worked. I mean, he's running top 15, and I think a lot of drivers that were running top 15 earlier got themselves into collisions because they were driving too hard. So the 29 definitely understanding his limits and pulling it back to make sure that he finishes the race. Acosta and Lindsay, these guys fighting out for 6.
These guys getting pretty close together. You see Acosta have a little bit of a brush with the wall as Lindsay tries to get a run back on him. Whoa, Acosta has to check out the corner. Almost gets into Lindsay there.
A scary moment for the 0-0, trying to avoid the 24.
Again, that's the thing with Darlington too. The crowding out of the corner just goes from 2 lanes to effectively 1 on exit, and we almost saw an incident there between them.
And Lindsay goes underneath Acosta and will try to immediately complete that pass, and looks like he will out of turn 4.
They're not missing anything in the lead other than Kate Lytle blowing everyone out of the water at 3.4-second lead over Johnny Thomas.
This is a battle for position. This is for 9th. That's Nick Miller and Tanner Sharp, although I have a feeling Nick Miller is probably going to be able to get by this three without too much issue considering the state of that Tanner Sharp is.
Nick Miller's going to just blow by. We're on the outside with a cleaner looking race car, and unfortunately for Tanner Sharp, what happened to him earlier, getting him that damage.
Oswald signal to the inside as well. Involved in a collision earlier today with Tommaso. Tommaso, an innocent victim in that, and frustrated with the end of his day earlier. Of course, it's so frustrating when it's not your mistake. When it's someone else's, it hurts a whole lot more. Up front, Kate Lytle absolutely dominating the latter half of this event, 8.6 seconds. And if I recall correctly, he just had a victory or two under his belt this season. As we head towards the playoffs, it gets more and more important to rack up those victories.
Has one victory as of
I
now.
think it was second ISM race race, if I recall correctly, back at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it's been a while for Lionel, but again, week in, week out, if it has been Jornberg and Frankwell's in the front, and Team 56 also in the picture as well. So if it isn't those two guys fighting out for the win, you might want to throw the 56 in there as well. He's definitely, if anyone else still has pace, I think he's got it.
And he has been in the wall a couple times, but that car is pretty clean otherwise. It's just the right side, and that's typical Darlington situation.
And the thing he's been doing, he hasn't really gotten solid hits. He's been more or less brushing the wall off, so hasn't been really hurting his car a whole lot.
Johnny Thomas sits in second. How about that run for the 83? This is a good weekend for him.
Yeah, it really is a good weekend for him up in the second place. It'll be really hard to try to catch back down to. Lionel will have to do something in the strategy. Hope the 56 gets caught out by strategy because we still have that chance. Still have a chance of a caution.
That was my other question to you, though, is we have now about 44 laps to go. We can make it on fuel from here, or within a couple laps from here. When do you pit? How long do you wait if you're Tate Lytle? I mean, I feel like Lytle is in a great position. He can pretty much do whenever he wants.
I was going to say, he's at 9 seconds. I'm not entirely sure what the pit road delta is, but I mean, just with the tire advantage that he's going to get, I mean, that 9 seconds is really going to help him out to really do pretty much as he pleases. If anything, to try to run more or less close to the end of his fuel, at least until most of the guys come down on pit road. Which he already kind of did with the first stop, so he's kind of setting up good in that department again. It's going to take a whole lot, I think, to yank this place out of his hands.
Corey Lindsay and Kevin Finn, these guys are fighting are fighting for position here in fifth place, and Kevin Finn has been running a little bit off of Corey Lindsay's pace. So Lindsay's actually found something here. He's beginning to pick up his pace in the beginning of the race where he wasn't really didn't have a whole lot of the speed that the rest of the field did.
I think he's done a better job of taking his tires on this run. He's been having noticeably more speed through the corner than Kevin Finn up ahead of him. You see him kind of back out. You see how much more easy, how easy he's in the corners compared to Finn. I think that's been helping on this long run. He's been really close to the wall there.
Yeah, a little tight off in turn 4, but we'll continue 40 laps to go. Next time by for the leader. The leader continues to be Tate Lytle. We'll check in with Chad Frankenfield in this UPS car. Again, I believe this is Dale Jarrett throwback. I don't know too many other drivers that drove with UPS on that car.
I don't think there really was. So, yeah.
There was the short year in 2008 when David Ruderman shared the car. But that isn't the same scheme. But fittingly on a Ford with a RTX motor in it still. And running 8th place again. Chad Frankenfield is not typically just a top 10 driver. He's typically a top 4 driver. But today, I think he'll take an 8th gladly. Jordan McEvoy running 3rd. How about this guy finishing? Maybe a surprise coming out of this event.
Yeah, definitely a surprise, although at this point in the season, really to get himself in the playoffs, he needs a win. But it's been really, in general, in 3-wide, has been a lot stronger in the second half, and is having like I said earlier, having a great run in the truck series. And I think that's where we're really going to see him trying to defend off just Scope and Kevin Finn off behind him.
That would be the 5 of Sam Close, but Sam Close is not on their lap. And McEvoy coming to pit road here, Finney. What do you think of this move? Oh, did he miss it?
Oh, and that's going to cost him.
Yeah, we talked about pit road earlier tonight, how
Difficult it is to get there, and here it is.
You know what I think it was? I think he wasn't planning on coming to pit road, and I think last second thought,
since he's getting past and he's going to lose a lot of time.
He thought might as well make the trip down, but committed too late. Here's him now coming in, but I think damage has already been done as far as being up in 3rd. So
any gain on the strategy he would have gotten there has been completely erased. So he'll come into pit lane, get tires, and fuel, head back out on the racetrack. So that means our pit window is open. Chad Frankenfield takes the opportunity to come down and get tires.
And that really means that all Lytle has to worry about is really Johnny Thomas at this point. Who he's been gaining a lot of time on. He only had to worry about McEvoy just based on strategy. Thomas is more just on raw speed, and that's really what Lytle's been benefiting from. So there's Tate Lytle. If we can go back to Johnny Thomas, see him just now entering turn 2.
I don't really think there's a whole lot Johnny Thomas can do to get the win away from Tate Lytle, but he can just not mess his own day up, and he's got 7.5 second buffer over Justin Kolb. So pretty much, with his top 5 drivers, so with how far separated they are, you're just going to want to keep doing what you're doing. Don't screw it up. Meanwhile, for Kevin Finn, he's got some serious pressure from Corey Lindsey. These guys can afford to race together.
Yeah, and they're just kind of going for points at this time in the season. Yeah, Kevin's been having a pretty solid run as well as Lindsey, who's in the top 5. You're going to have to kind of see where it all spreads out, especially after pit stops, especially when the speedway ends up after missing that.
35 laps to go, make it 34 as Tate Lytle comes across the start-finish line with a 9.6 second lead over Johnny Thomas. Then it's 8.6 back to Cole, but then another 5.5 back to Kevin Finn. And then only 2/10 back to Corey Lindsey. These two fighting hard with each other. Lindsey slow in turns 3 and 4 here. Jordan McEvoy and Chad Frankenfield. You see how much time Chad gained on Frankenfield, or excuse me, on Frankenfield gained on McEvoy after McEvoy missed that pit road entrance. So that might mean that the 15 might be able to find his way around that yellow 21 here shortly.
Yeah, I put McEvoy probably in the back, maybe 6th or 5th place. This is what this cycle around.
I think it was like 8th before.
Oh yeah, so even worse than I thought. So yeah, that's really, I think McEvoy's up in the kicking himself. Was running a great lead until that point.
There's Brett Miller, who is now 2 laps down in 11th place, knocking on the door of a top 10 though. I know he's got some drivers behind him that are going to push him out, but still a decent run. Tate Lytle has just ticked over the 10-second lead mark. I don't know what our largest lead has been this year, but I think we're getting pretty close to it.
There's been domination by the 56 tonight, and Thomas just has not been able to keep up on pace in every single lap. Actually, last time Thomas was faster by 5,000 of a second, and actually now it's over, is now 2/10 slower. So I don't know what's in this 56 lap. Check out the post so you can rocket ship in this race so far.
You know, difference in tires there for Frankenfield and for the 21 of the D-Boy. There's just not a whole lot that Thomas could do. He'd have to hit almost 5 to 6 laps before Tate Lytle to get that so much of an advantage, and I don't think Tate Lytle would be silly enough to let the 83 do that.
Yeah, and even then, Lytle is going to have significantly fresher tires and just blow on by him. So, yeah, like you said, Thomas is kind of in a hole as to what you can do, really.
Yeah, so there is Tate Lytle leading the race. Johnny Thomas all the way back here entering turn 3. He's in 2nd place. Justin Kolb coming out of turn 2. We only have 4 cars on the lead lap right now. Corey Lindsey is the last of them. And if you look out the rear bumper here, you might be able to see.
I think you believe that's Lytle.
Tate Lytle here. Yes, it is. And here comes Lytle. He's going to hit pit lane. He's in hot though. Does he get it down?
Yeah,
Looks like he will.
Be a little bit tight.
Wow, that was an aggressive entry there. And so will Johnny Thomas follow or will he stay out? I mean, I don't really think it'll make a difference at this point.
If anything, I think Thomas is a better shot if he stays out. If you get a caution, it will help on his favor. If he comes in now, I mean, it's going to be pretty much the same. Stays out. It's also going to be the same, more or less.
Well, we only have 16 cars even still on the racetrack, and Dirk Westbrook is actually pulled off 5 laps to go, so that makes that 15 cars on the racetrack. Sam Close, I think, is also just left the racetrack. I didn't see what happened to the 5, but he's just pulled off. So Lytle in his pit box receiving service. Where's Johnny Thomas? Here he is. Put Lytle 1 lap down, and that is when Thomas wants to see that yellow flag fly.
Someone's arm to see up there to bring out a caution, because yeah, that's really all you can hope for. Because on raw pace, the 56 has him covered. And actually, I think here comes Thomas. It looks like he might pull off on the pit road now, and there he goes.
Johnny Thomas entering pit lane, and no caution to save him, but he's going to lock up coming to pit lane, but he will make it there. We now have 27 laps
To go here at Darlington. Playoff cut line picture changing quite a bit with how good of a night that Corey Lindsey has had. And he sits 2nd right now. He's hoping a yellow flag comes out as well.
I think he might be one of the few guys that have yet to come down on pit road. I think Cogswell and Nick Miller have also stayed out.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of different strategies to be following at the moment, but Lindsay out there the longest of anybody. Nick Miller, his teammate, running on 35-lap old tires. And Tate Lytle and Johnny Thomas have just traded spots again, and Lytle is still on the racetrack. Johnny Thomas is still in pit lane. That lead is going to be significantly larger now for Tate Lytle.
Thomas just now getting up to speed as Lytle's on the back straightaway in turn 3 now.
So Johnny Thomas is going to come out. And Tate Lytle has got to just, I don't even know, it's just it's so huge.
Yeah, it's actually over half a lap right now at 18 seconds.
Let's take a look at this here. If we take a look at our leader, or who looks like let's be our leader, the 56.
Oh, you just passed him.
Thank you. This dialogue was done a little, if this was organized by numbers, to make my life a lot easier. 56. Where? So many cars. Oh yes, I was looking for Thomas. And I was looking already. I was looking for Tate Lytle on the list of cars, and he was already in the list on the side that I had here. So there they are compared, and Lytle just bounced off the fence there, but they are half a lap separated, 13 seconds between Lindsay and Miller right now, and it's going to be even larger between Lytle and Johnny Thomas, who will be our first and second place cars once this cycle's out. Domination in one word, Finian. That is how to describe the night for Tate Lytle. Wasn't the quickest car early, it was Josh Adams. But unfortunate circumstances took the 95 out of the race, as they have several times this year. Adams has one victory to his name.
Yeah, and again, he's kind of locked into a playoff spot with that win. But again, I think Adams has kind of found himself in a fight with the 56 as far as the points are concerned. So because they're both pretty even on pace between them, so this is going to give a leg up to 56 over their battle.
Well, Tate Lytle might lap everybody but second place here, coming to 20 laps to go, and you know it's been a race of attrition as Darlington typically is, but I think even more so than in the past. I think this higher downforce package lends you being on throttle more, and because you're on throttle more, you tend to get more understeer. The old package, you were coasting and braking a lot more, so you were going slower and could avoid things. I feel like you're going so fast, the corner speeds are so high, that once you're offline, you're going in the fence. 20 laps to go for leader Tate Lytle.
Yeah, and Lindsay has just come into the pits now, so that's going to put him back in order, so Lytle will retake the lead with 20 to go.
Take a look at our manufacturer lineup right now. Lytle, the lone Toyota, still running at this point.
Yeah, Hanchup back in 18th, and Frank Sims back in 23rd. Oh, as well as Mike Stevens back in 26th. So, carrying the Toyota manufacturer on his back and up in first, you can see all the Chevys and Fords behind him, which I'm a little bit biased. I'm happy to see that.
Well, it's, you know, I think Lytle's been carrying the Toyota emblem at the forefront most of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, you know, of course, it doesn't really matter all that much, but it's nice to have manufacturer diversity, so having at least one Toyota that is competitive every week is good to see. And there he's putting 14 to Kevin Finn, 1 lap down. Finn trying to fight back, but it's going to be a futile fight. 18 laps to go now, and Nick Miller holds second place. I don't think he's made his final pit stop yet in that number 9. Boy, we have a slight lull in the action here as Frankfield and Acosta were just fighting. We have a slight lull in the action tomorrow night. The Fuel Cup Series returns. Mission 22 Cup Series returns to Daytona Speedway tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Wednesday we're off, but Thursday, Scars Ferrari Challenge from the Kansas Roval. The first 3 rounds have been absolutely spectacular. You will not want to miss that. And Saturday, the Outsider Racing League begins their season at Daytona as well on Saturday night at 10 p.m., so don't miss that either. And Frankfield and Acosta still fighting for 6th. Acosta going back to the inside here.
Yeah, Acosta's not giving up this fight just yet. Frankfield, though, has been dominant on that outside. You can see there, Lytle rounding off of turn 4, ready to put these two a lap down.
In terms of a race, we've had 5 cautions in the 168 laps we've had so far. A total of 18 caution laps, but 16 lead changes. That's a whole lot of them.
Yeah, it is quite a bit of them. It's been pretty interesting up in the front between Adams and Lytle going at it earlier. Then that caution coming out the right time, and quite a bit of a mix in the field. And Lytle and Adams found themselves back at the top, but Adams, with his internet issues, have pretty much handed this to the 56 team in behind, trying to find his way around.
Yeah, he's trying to work his way around this fight with Frank Field and Acosta, because these guys are fighting for a top 5 position, and Lytle's trying not to get himself in trouble here with these cars. And so that will confirm he is lapped up to 5th place if he can just get around Frankenfield. And then I think Jordan McKeevoy is up the road about 7 seconds from that. McKeevoy might be safe in being able to stay on the lead lap, and that is Justin Kolb. This is the battle for 3rd here, these two cars.
McKeevoy can try to recover from that mistake, and this would effectively put him back more or less where he was running. So McKeevoy has been close to getting back, but it looks like Kolb is actually faster than him with fresh tires.
McKeevoy actually really didn't lose anything on that whole sequence. I mean, other than track, not even track position, but just, you know, what's even the word for that? Just track position is such a dumb term. But he just lost time. He didn't lose any positions. So he really got away with that. That's Jonathan Cogswell, who's running top 10 right now in that 27. $13 to go, and it will be 12 here shortly. And there is the delta. Lytle and Thomas separated by 15 seconds. That's over half a lap here at Darlington.
Yeah, and again, just absolutely dominant performance. Really, the only thing that could add something to this is caution coming out, and I say that kind of hoping that something does happen just to see this get a little bit more interesting. I'm sure everyone else, pretty much other than the 56, will see a caution.
Looking pretty unlikely at the moment. There are still some battles around the racetrack like this one. Frankenfield and Acosta. This is getting a bit spirited.
Yeah, they've been riding pretty close to each other for quite a few laps at different points in the race between them, so this could potentially get ugly. Doubt that it would.
$11 laps to go, making our way towards 10. This is the 16th race of the year. We have one more to go next week as Acosta takes a look to the inside of Frankenfield.
Island dive to the inside for Acosta. Going to just try to get that run, but all for naught off the corner.
Yeah, this is... Oh, there it is! No, the 15 car in the wall, and they get... Oh, he's going to collect it. No, he saves it with 10 laps to go. And what I was just about to say, that Frankenfield probably shouldn't make enemies because Acosta's not going to have anything to lose when we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, that could have been ugly there, but between them, they're looking at a potential caution. Frankenfield still struggling with the speed in that car.
Here's another look at it from a different angle. It was the 24. These two had a run-in before, and out of turn 4, yeah, the 24 just gets into the 15, and I think Frankenfield kind of tried to swoop over to collect him and kind of missed. But they'll continue, but I don't think those two are going to be thrilled with each other post-race. 9 laps to go now for the leader, and it's over 15 seconds. Tate Lytle's lead over Johnny Thomas. Let's check in with Kevin Finn, who's sitting 6th right now in Frankenfield now, trying to catch up to him.
And pretty much got put back in 7 with that, and also a little bit closer to Corey Lindsay, you see in the back of the frame.
Richard Hines was put back early in the race with crash damage. He has stuck it out for the entire race on probably a miserably handling race car and running 13th right now. So sticking him in is going to help save his playoff chances, considering Corey Lindsay is only about 5 spots up the road, and it's a 35-point difference between them. Actually, Hines was the one that's 57 above the cut line coming in, so he's still looking pretty safe heading into next week.
Oh, and Lindsay's going spinning off of turn 4. He's still sliding off the corner. He's going to get it straight, but that was another potential wreck there.
Yeah, he got in the wall here, entering turn 3. Here's another look.
8-9 falling off to the inside, letting him on by, and then got into the wall here. Might have charged way too hard into the corner and brushed the wall, went sideways. Great save, though.
Yeah, did a good job holding on to it and continues in 8th place. No other tight battles to show you at the moment other than Carlos Acosta and Kevin Finn, but I think Acosta is just cleared Kevin. No, other way around. Kevin Finn is catching Acosta by about 0.3 a lap.
So at the rate he's going, should be able to catch him before the checkered flag, but again, catching is one thing, passing is another.
A lot of on-throttle time, even late on the run. And just getting back into it, breathing back in the throttle out of turn 4. Ooh, we see Picasso's a bit tight there. 5 laps to go for the leader, Tate Lytle. One back at Phoenix Raceway back at the beginning of the season. Has run very well since then, but hasn't found victory lane since that race earlier in the season. Can you confirm that was Phoenix? Yes, it was. Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I wasn't spreading incorrect information. And to make that 5-4, Lytle leads by 16 seconds, and he has just been in his own league lately. No one's running as fast as he is right now.
And really, I mean, just the fact that he has 1 win to his name is, I guess, not entirely accurate of his pace. He's got 2 second-place finishes, as well as, actually, sorry, 3 second-place finishes, as well as 2 thirds. So he's finished in the top 3 about 6 times this season so far, potentially his 7th. So he's been consistently up in the front of the field in 56.
On the back straightaway, it'll be 2 laps to go next time by.
He's actually got, I believe that's Jordan McKeeboy up ahead of him.
Yeah, so that will put McKeeboy down a lap. And that will mean there's only 3 cars left on the lead lap. If he were able to get by this 21, I don't know if he'll push the issue, but he is catching him pretty quick. 2 to go here at Darlington.
Yeah, just a solid run for Lytle all night. Thomas not really able to do much, but again, just Thomas just kind of running his own race at this point. Obviously wasn't able to catch 56, just worrying about making sure he brings his own car home in one piece. And also Justin Cope with a great run in that 52 as well. And he's also been having really solid runs as of late.
And I believe Justin Cope was actually a race winner a few weeks back at Michigan.
Yes.
With the crazy way that race ended. So he's in a good position in terms of the playoff picture. So for Tate Lytle, it's been a pretty dominant latter half of the race for the 56 after Josh Adams lost connection earlier. And it's not going to quite lap up to the podium, but he's going to give it a valiant effort out of turn 4. Checkered flag waves. Here he comes to the start-finish line. Will he get there? Not quite, but Tate Lytle wins in dominant fashion at the Lady in Black. And sometime later tonight, Johnny Thomas is going to come on through.
Finally gets to the line in second place, just kind of really showing you the gap between them. And then out of turn number 4 for Justin Cope in the 52, he'll come home in a solid 3rd place. And then Jordan McKeeboy back in 4th. And the 21 will have also another solid finish.
Second flag flies here, and Lytle is victorious here at Darlington.
And also in a nice, beautiful throwback paint scheme. And again, just look at the car. Pretty clean compared to everyone else.
Yeah, some right side damage on that machine, but he's going to be able to burn it down here at the track. Too tough to tame. Except Tate Lytle tamed it tonight, Finney, and I don't know how he was that fast, but he was. In dominant fashion, the 56 visits victory lane. And for the 3 of Tanner Sharp, should be his last race of the season because he's getting surgery done. And celebrating there for a moment, but for that 56, what a drive by Lytle. This is, remember he was crashed out of turn 2 earlier in the race.
Yeah.
Managed to recover from that and actually just blew the motor there. So, well, I hope he didn't need to use that car again. But we'll be back in just a moment to talk to him and others. Stay with us.
Welcome back live to SimTV here now with 6th place finisher Carlos Acosta. Carlos, top 10 result for you tonight with a pretty clean race car after a track that is so tough on the vehicles and a lot of attrition out there. How did you get yourself inside the top 10 tonight and have a decent run in P6?
All right. Well, top 10. Yeah, it wasn't a clean car though. I really messed up. I was driving not like myself at all. I got into Chad Frankenfield many times. I was actually just about to message him, letting him know that those were all on me. I also got into Luis. It's just not like me at all. And I guess when it's not like me, I end up doing pretty well. But not necessarily proud of how I got into it. But I got a top 10 though, and I'm happy with that. I was just aiming for a top 10. I had a top 5 on the last lap, and I just butchered the corner. The pressure got to me. But 6th place is fun after this frustrating season. Getting back into it. But I had a great time at a track where I thought it would have wrecked out.
Talk to me a little bit about this 2019 package. I know everyone's exhausted about talking about how it drives at different racetracks, but this one was kind of a question mark on my list because this track is typically so off throttle and so slippery, but it seemed like tonight there was a lot of grip out there, and it seemed like the downforce led for a lot more on throttle time. So just talk to me about how that affected the racing, especially in traffic.
All right. Well, turns 1 and 2, the whole race, just full throttle, the whole race. The only time you weren't full throttle is if maybe you were side by side, but that turns 1 and 2, just 100%, pedal all the way down, just full beans. Turns 3 and 4, it's a bit different question. It's a bit differently. You do have to get off a bit and then just run the high line. But as the car gets really, really tight, you just spend less time on the throttle for 3 and 4, and that's something that I was getting at the end, but I wasn't getting at the beginning, which is why I fell back.
All right, well, P6 result for Carlos Acosta. Carlos, great job. I know it was probably a little messier than you wanted, but still a 6th place result. Nothing to be ashamed of there in that 24.
Yep, thank you so much.
We'll move on now to Justin Kolb, who finished in 3rd place tonight in the number 52 car. Justin, a wild race all over the racetrack, but a lot of attrition out there. How'd you finish in that 52?
Well, I don't really know how I got 3rd place. That's a great question. But, man, like you said, crazy night. I got my my front end caved in at one point and thought we were done. I was actually about to overheat and come down pit road at one point, like in the middle of that race, until the caution came out. So that was, I guess, our blessing. And, car was fun to drive in the beginning, and then it got really plowy tight. And after that, just kind of no fun. But once you got fresh tires on it and you could run around that high side, bottom side, whatever. Really fun car.
Absolutely. I was asking Carlos about the handling characteristics of this new car in traffic. I saw you were doing a lot of battling up towards the front. Could you feel the aero push at all, or was it not really a huge concern in that 52?
It was more in 3 and 4. I could feel it because that's really the only part of the track where you had to be conservative. But yeah, I mean this package basically just forces you to kind of race hard the whole time, because if you lift, then the guy behind you is going to get side by side with you, and it's just a whole accordion effect. But I mean, aero I don't think was as big of an issue. You can just take a look at my front end and everybody's car. I mean, Tanner was running with no nose, and he was still holding with some of the guys up there. So I don't know. It was a really weird Darlington, and I must say this is the first time I've ran Darlington with the lights going down, and it's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, because it's just it's almost like a different atmosphere once it gets to night, because you're so used to running Darlington during the day, as long as they've had it in the sim. Now it's night, and it adds a whole new level of coolness, I guess. I don't know the word, but adds a whole new fun factor to this sim.
It was certainly a beautiful night for sure. Justin, thanks for talking. Congrats on another podium in that 52. Results certainly coming to that 52 camp.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Talking now with Johnny Thomas, who finished 2nd place. It seemed like a whole lap behind Tate Lytle. It was only 17.6 seconds, but Johnny, a big gap there. But what did you need to go get that 56?
People not holding me up around lap about 90 to go is what set the race apart. After we got that restart, I was about 2nd off at Tate and 6th, and I was faster than 2nd through 5th, and guys just won't let me by him. It's unfortunate. 2nd place sucks. You got this Dale Earnhardt paint scheme, and there's only one place to put that thing. If you're racing an Earnhardt scheme, and that's first, and guys just hold me up. I let people go. I in a lot of races every year, every race this season, I let people go, the fast guys, and then these fast guys are not as fast as they normally are. They're too stubborn to let you go. So I'm pretty disappointed with about half the field. Darlington is a track where you got to race the racetrack, and I think some of these guys thought with this new package that you could race the other cars, and that wasn't it. Guys were crashing into each other, and luckily we had that long run to end it up. Second place is a good day for points, but good run for Tate too. Congratulations, but I wish I would have got one more.
All right, well, Johnny Thomas, second place tonight in the 83. Johnny, great run. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
And last but certainly not least, it's going to be Tate Lytle in the 56 car tonight. Tate, the lone Toyota at the end of the race in a field of about 15 cars after we started with 29. Attrition everywhere, you included, getting caught up in an accident. Came back to win the race, not only win it, but do it by a half a lap. How'd you do that out there?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. Everything just kind of fell my way because I felt like Josh was a little faster than me, but he lost connection, I think, and then Gruenberg had his issues, and Chad had his issues, and those are normally the guys that if someone's gonna beat me, those are the guys, and I just was able to keep it clean enough and right away at the end.
As we look forward to the rest of the regular season, which concludes next week at Myrtle Beach, and heading into the playoffs, do you think that you are hitting a high point in the season, or is there still some work to do in that 56 camp?
It's getting better now because I was going off to work 2 hours north of where my rig is, so I wasn't able to practice it at all other than these races, and I've been able to practice quite a bit this week, and I think it showed.
All right, Tate. Well, congratulations on a second victory this season after your other one earlier in the season at Phoenix. We'll see you next week. Try to defend your race victory. See you later. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Opinion thoughts leaving Darlington. Attrition certainly high as always here at this racetrack, but it seemed like especially so tonight. Johnny Thomas said that, like what I said earlier, the drivers need to race the track and not the cars. It seemed like they were racing each other a lot tonight.
Yeah, and again, that's just victim of again, take a shot every time you see package. Victim of the package, really, with putting everyone significantly closer together than they would with the lower down for or just packages that we've had in general in the past. So these guys have been running a lot closer with each other, and then obviously that kind of just leads to more and more incidents between them as kind of a natural side effect.
That's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow with the Fuel Mission 22 Cup Series from Daytona. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Have a great night.